Okay, we're back.
We back?
We're back.
Okay.
Hopefully
Let's see how that looks.
it's better.
Yeah, let us know if it's better. So just write to us and tell us. Because we don't know nothing.
We can start doing
Yeah, that's right. Okay.
Okay, so
Let's see if we can get one person on the place, and once we get one person, we'll just get started on the questions.
well, how was your week this week? Anything new in the family search land?
Nope. Just plugging away.
Not exciting.
Tons of stuff to do, and we're doing more. Always dreaming up more stuff, believe it or not.
Education week is 3 weeks away? 2.5 weeks, 3 weeks away?
It's not good news for me. I've been a little procrastination going on.
Just a teeny bit.
Not a little.
Just-
A lot.
Just a teeny bit of not doing your slides.
Yeah,
At all.
I'm teaching 3 classes, and I haven't quite finished my first slides yet for the first class.
And you still have 2 more classes?
Yeah.
This isn't looking encouraging. Just
Yeah. You'll have to come
so
find out
if
if
you're
it happens.
signed up in his classes, you might want to like rethink your class schedule.
Nah, it'll be fine. I just end up staying up all night long until I get it done.
I'm kidding.
It is happening on the 21st of August.
21st. Today's the 3rd, so we're like 3 weeks away.
Yeah.
All right. Here we go then.
Yeah.
3 weekies. Not too bad.
All right.
Okay, you ready to jump in then?
Yeah. Oh, must have somebody because I saw a little thingy go by.
You saw a thingy go by.
Jared joined, so
Super
3 people.
specific.
Okay.
All right.
First question.
Whoa, we got a lot of questions tonight.
Hopefully, got new people coming.
We do.
Let
have
us know if it's
ones.
new. You know, you're new. Say hi to us.
If you're on with us.
Yeah, if it's first timer. If you're a first timer, be sure and post a little. Hey, I'm new. So
Hey, I'm new.
yeah.
Okay. First question is from Steph.
Steph.
Brossard.
You know, I wouldn't worry about last name. Just call her Steph.
Steph. Well,
There
it's
you
all like one word that's smashed together.
Oh.
That's fine.
Oh, because it's a username or a yeah. You don't actually get to see the name, huh? Okay.
How do we block others from adding and changing your information on FamilySearch tree? I don't mind sharing, just don't want my information changed.
Okay, so that's a good question.
Mm-hmm.
The answer is you can't. So let me explain how Family Tree works.
Okay, really fast. Hello, Chris. We are glad that you join us every week.
Oh, it's good to have regulars. Okay, so let's see.
Remember, you have to hold it upright this time. You can't go side to side.
Yeah.
You have to give them instructions, guys. Also, I cannot guarantee any handwriting.
No.
I don't know what that bottom one says.
Okay, not supposed to know.
Okay.
All right, there's 2 parts to FamilySearch where you put your information. One part's called genealogies. See it down here? And that doesn't look very good, does it? That's an N. That's an N right there.
I would say that does not look like it says genealogy.
Oop, that's a backwards.
Wow, it's just getting worse.
No, yeah. All right, that's an N. Genealogies. So here, this is the genealogies area. It's under the search menu item. You can upload GEDCOMs into this genealogies, and other people can look at it, but they can't change anything. So that's one place you can put your stuff. The other place is Family Tree. And Family Tree is designed to be a shared community tree. There are no private personal trees in Family Tree. And it's designed on purpose that way. And we'll talk a little bit about why. But the way it works is you have a living area where this is your living. So this is you and maybe your spouse and your parents if they're alive. And then their parents are over here in the dead space of Family Tree. And the living is private, only you can see and only you can edit. But you get to the dead and we're all in it together. Let's talk a little bit about why that's the case. The prior system before Family Tree was called New Family Search. And it's the first time we've ever put everybody's contributions into a single place. And I was responsible, Cody, I was responsible for New Family Search after it shipped a little bit. And what I found is most people were struggling trying to fix the data because it was wrong and incorrect, and it had the wrong relationships, things like that, and they wanted to correct the data. And you couldn't touch each other's data in New Family Search. They built it just like most people would want, where I put my stuff in, nobody should be able to touch it. They can see it, but they can't touch it. And we tried to do that, and it just fell apart. We have to remember that the purpose of what we're doing this for is the reason why we're doing an open edit community tree is we want to have people spend time putting in new information or enhancing information that's there, and not spend their time doing genealogy that's already been done before.
Makes sense.
I did there was a research done back in the late 70s, early 80s. There hasn't been one since that I can find, that asked, that went to try to find out how much genealogy, when a person does research, how much of it is original research, right? Never been done before.
Okay.
And when they went to several genealogy places and they checked it and asked, and they submitted names that where they had genealogy for, and said how much of this is duplicated already in your systems. And it turned out to be like 79%, 78 to 79% of all genealogy that people think is the original first-time research has already been done before.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
So only 20% of the genealogy you're doing, and this is not in all cases, of course. If you're in parts of places that haven't had much genealogy done, it'd be more than that, or you'd be doing more real research. But the intent of Family Tree is to all work together to have all of the human family recorded for free. Everybody can share and use it, and so there's principles you need to know about Family Tree to help reduce the likelihood of people changing the data that you believe is correct. By the way, genealogists, if you talk to genealogists, I mean, I talked to a lot of them it's been years, and I talk to a lot of them all the time. And every one of them get frustrated. I get it, I do too. Frustrated when somebody changes the data and makes it wrong. But there's not a single genealogist that isn't happy when it gets better, or isn't happy when sources appear that they didn't know existed. It's very interesting. I get it. They're all happy to share and loving to do that when it improves, but of course we're all happy when it gets bad.
We're all unhappy.
So our job at Family Search is to try to figure out a way to discourage the change of good data and encourage the change of bad data. And we're still working on it. We're still early and new at this, and we'll use your help, and we'll figure that out. So the best thing to do is remember, nobody's really trying to destroy your data. They're just a relative who's trying to tap into that and use it. We're not. It's important to leave good reason statements behind. Some people feel like, why am I filling out the reason statement? Could you close that door, please? Thank you. Reason statement. You want to leave the reason statement. They say, why do I have to fill that out? I didn't want to put it in. Yeah. But the reason statement is for the person who's coming after you, so you can explain why your conclusion is the best conclusion.
Yeah.
And then I would leave sources. Make sure you attach sources there, and make sure that you're contactable, right? Either share your email, or within Family Search you can send messages with each other. And then watch the people, set the watch button on the people that you're particularly interested in. Crossroads ancestors that seem to always get changed. And then you'll be notified when changes are made and you can restore them. So that's the philosophy of Family Tree. It's not going to change. It's going to continue to be that way. We found that it's difficult to live in. I get it for the first while, but most people find that it actually gets better as more people get used to it. And by the way, the people that are changing it, just send them a message, say, hey, how are you related? You're probably my cousin. Where are you from? Let's learn. And there's a lot of people that found distant relatives that way.
Yeah.
And then you're helping out each other and working together. So that's the sort of medium answer. I could have been longer, and I should have been shorter. They say if you,
You're a little
what was that
long-winded.
they say I heard the other day? If you say it, they'll listen to you. If you do long, then they sleep. If you do short, they like you. So
Well, I wasn't sure.
I
You
semi-blew
blew it.
that one, right? Okay. So that's the answer to that one. There isn't a way to keep people from doing it other than good sources, good reasons, and talking to people.
Okay. This person has submitted 4 questions.
Oh boy.
So it's Greenwood. They wants to know, are shared private spaces for living family members still on the roadmap?
Yes. Okay, so for those who don't know, those new joining with us, today in Family Tree, each person has their own little private area, which is their living for most people. And I've mentioned a little bit earlier in the year, first part of the year, that we're working on sharing that living with each other so that you and your spouse can be looking at the same people, and your brothers and sisters and cousins that you want to be able to come together in one same shared area and share the living, so that you can put memories and you can everybody can edit it and make it better, and you get to see all your living as well as the dead. And yes, it's still on the roadmap. We're designing it. We're going through the details now on all the little nuances that are in the thing.
Yeah.
And we haven't actually started writing code yet, but we're almost there. We try to spend lots of good quality time, figure out exactly how we want it, because then that way we build it. That's the fastest way to get it done. So yeah, still on the roadmap, and don't have any date when it's going to be done, but we're still working on it. Okay, next.
Are there any plans to allow indexing on demand as we browse through scanned microfilms?
Yes, we want to do that. We're in the process right now of re-examining how indexing is working. We just put out a new indexing tool, and we're re-examining the back-end processes and how we can make it more efficient. And those teams have come to us and said, "Hey, we want." There's a couple things people have been asking for a long time. One is user corrections. So, for instance, someone indexed it wrong or something, so you want to correct the index. And then since we're going to work on. This is just very early stages that we've talked about. So we want to do user corrections, so you can correct it. Well, if we're doing user corrections, then we're only like that far off from allowing you to index a browse image. If you're browsing and you find a collection and you're interested, you can just start indexing it.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're looking for both of those things. Matter of fact, we've been rearranging staffing and people so that type of project can start getting a little bit more traction. So there'll be more information coming over the following, months and months and months. So it's not going to be it's not a quick fix. So don't expect anything in the next, this year probably for sure.
I was like,
maybe not even next year.
We're already in August.
But yes, we're going to do it. It's on the roadmap. We're starting to work on it. We're getting serious about it. So
okay.
I actually had to give up several people off my teams to do that. To give it to them so they can work on it. That's okay. That's fine.
All right. Same person wants to know, can we get advanced image tools in Memories? I have a relative who scans at the Family History Center on their scanner and then uploads directly into the Memories, and the images are rotated or they show the entire scratched scanner lid. I'd like to be able to crop and rotate the images without downloading the image and re-uploading.
You can rotate. I don't think we have crop. I'm gonna send myself a message right here about cropping. You want to send that to me?
I can.
Okay, send me an email about cropping. I mean, you can rotate now. So if you click on the memory and you go to the viewer, and you see the viewer, there's a little action menu on the left-hand side of the picture. You click on the action menu. There's a drop down, and there's rotate. I can't remember if there's a crop. I don't think there is, but I know there's a rotate. And you can just click that and it'll rotate 90 degrees, or you just keep rotating it until it gets up proper.
Okay, last one from the Greenwood wants to know, my understanding of the release of temple ordinances is that it is 2 years after the latest activity or ordinance, not just the reservation date. If that is correct, can we see the latest activity on temple ordinances in addition to the original reservation date?
He's on right now, I saw.
Is he?
Yeah. I'm not sure where you want to see that, but
Is it Carl? Is it Carl? Are you there with us?
he is. He was on earlier. He
Okay.
posted something, but anyway, the rule for the 2-year reservation list is it has to be reserved 2 years, and you haven't done any ordinances after the 2-year. So let's say the way we're doing it. Like, let me tell you how we're doing it, and then I'll tell you how we're going to do it.
Okay.
Because we're in the process of working out a difference.
So currently it is.
Currently, this is all done manually.
That sounds
And we do it,
uncomfortable.
it's very uncomfortable. See, there he is right there.
Oh, watching on the phone and commenting on your PC.
Oh,
Oh, that
okay.
sounds fun.
Oh, yeah, okay, well. So, it's very manual. We usually actually do the effort in November
Okay.
time frame. But because it's manual and ordinances are always going, people are always doing another ordinance,
Yep.
we found that we have to have a cutoff date.
Makes sense.
So I have decided the cutoff date is May 1st of that year. And then we release them all in November.
Okay.
So November, when November comes, we'll go back and we'll say, we'll look for any reservations that were reserved prior to May 1st, 2015. Because it's 2 years.
Because it's 2 years. Okay.
And we'll take those reservations, and then we'll say, have they had any ordinances done on them since May 1st of this year?
Of 2017.
That's right.
Okay.
So we'll say they were reserved before May 1st, 2015, and have any ordinances been done on it since May 1st, 2017?
Okay.
If there has been ordinances on it since May 1st, 2017, they're thrown out. They don't get released. They get to
Okay.
keep them.
Okay.
Any of them that are left, which means reserved prior to May 1st, 2015, and have not had any ordinances done after May 1st, 2017, then they're up for being released.
Okay.
I'm not interested in showing that. Now, you can see in your reservation list when, and I think you can also see on the person pages when you look at them, you can see when they're reserved. What you can't, and you can sort your reservation list by date reserved.
Oh.
So that gives you a hint of what ordinances are, what reservations are in jeopardy of doing it. If they were reserved before May 1st, 2015, then you know they're a possible.
So I guess the question is,
But
will May 1st always be the standard date?
no, May 1st will not always be the standard.
Okay.
As soon as we're done doing the manual process,
Which is ending this year?
well, I'm hoping, but I don't know. The team's working on it.
Okay.
I talked to my guy today, this morning, about it, and said, how are we coming on that, and when is it going to get done? Our goal is to not too far, but we haven't announced it.
Okay.
My goal is to make this automatic. Okay,
Okay.
that's what we want.
So what would that look like?
So in the future, when we make it automatic, then on your reservation list, you're going to see not only the date reserved, but you're also going to see the date that it will expire. The date, and it will be 2 years from the date that you reserved.
So it's not necessarily like a specific date. It's just 2 years.
It'll
from
be
the
2 years.
reservation.
So you reserve it in June 1st, it's going to die June 1st, 2 years from
later.
there. And we're not going to worry about if you've done an ordinance. The way we're talking right now is it's not going to be about whether you've done an ordinance after that date. We're just going to say you got to get it done in 2 years. If it's not done in 2 years, whatever ordinances are left,
We're gonna let other people help you do it.
right. And
Okay.
what we're thinking of doing, just so you know, this is I haven't told a lot of people about this one, so.
You guys are in the inner circle.
Yeah, what we're thinking, and what I want to do is, and we're still working through this, is we're not going to unreserve anymore. What we're going to do is we're going to share it to the temple
Oh.
on your behalf.
That'll be nice. And then
We'll
it
share it with
actually
the temple.
It's starting
And
to.
so the reason why we want to do that is so it keeps its place in line. It doesn't get lost. You'll still see it on your reservation list, so you can pull it back onto your list if it's somebody that's really important to you. So that's what I'm thinking of doing there. And when we do that, when we turn that on, we'll let you know there'll be lots of blog posting, and
I'm sure you'll get an email or two about it.
There'll be lots of consultant newsletters about it when it happens. But I think it's going to be a great thing, and you'll see it right there. And we plan on notifying you 4 weeks, maybe 4 weeks and 2 weeks and 1 week before it expires to say, hey, you got some reservations going to expire. You might want to go check it out. And that's the plan.
Okay.
So a lot of talking.
The plan is coming. No official date yet.
Yeah. But in the meantime,
it's manually done.
It's May 1st.
It's May 1st.
2 years before, and no ordinances after May 1st.
Got it.
They're going to get released.
Okay. Oh, Stacy would like to know, so will it show, this is for when it's in the future, will it show that in my account that it has been shared to the temple?
Yes, just like today, if you have a reservation and you share it with the temple, you'll see that only part of the ordinances are there that you kept, but this thing will be the whole thing. So you can go over to you have several fields inside of the temple reservation list. One of them is the shared with temple. You can click that and you'll be able to see it.
Okay. So, yes.
Yeah. Yeah, you can go try that. You ought to try it if you've never done it. Just share it with the temple. You can always take it back.
Yeah.
So you can just share it, go see what it looks like, and then unshare it back to yourself. And
go be an Indian giver and take it back.
Well, now I know what it's like to share with the temple.
So now you know what it'll look like in the future. When
That's right. It'll be the same. We'll just automatically share it for you.
Nice. Okay, you ready?
Yeah.
Okay, Bosch wants to know, in the database of FamilySearch, there are tons of indexed records that are not linked to a record image. Lots of those images are uploaded to FamilySearch but not linked to an indexed record. Have you thought about an arbitration-like program to match indexations to images? I think that would increase a lot of the efficiency in the database with very minimal effort.
Well, it kind of depends on, if there's an index, let me explain to everybody else what I believe you're saying, and if you're on, let me know if I'm goofed in the head. FamilySearch has tons of records. Mm-hmm. We have tons of images. Mm-hmm. By the way, I was talking to somebody about it, just how things were going, and something like we've only 30% of what's in the vault is there. So
you only have 30% of the information from the vault in FamilySearch? Just
images.
Oh, just images.
We've only indexed a small percentage of the images we put on the site.
Oh my goodness.
So we got tons of data. But anyway, regardless,
that's a lot
there are a lot of indexes on FamilySearch that have no associated image, and that's what this person's talking about.
Yes.
And the reason why there's no associated images could be a couple of reasons. One, the one who owns rights to those images has chosen to not allow us to share it on FamilySearch. Or they gave us the indexes and didn't give us the images as part of the deal. Because what we're trying to do in all of our arrangements with our partners with records is trying to get as many indexes as we can on FamilySearch so that you have access to all that great data.
Right.
And a lot of times these affiliates who own the images, they're like libraries and stuff, and they're trying to stay alive. So they want to charge a fee to look at the image, some of them, 50 cents or $1 or something. So they keep the image, we don't get it, and we show the index, and you have to go over there to get it. Some of them have no images at all because we have no rights to the image. They just gave us the index or asked us to index, and then we gave back the images. So if somebody, but there are cases where people go get the image themselves, and then they upload it, okay?
Okay.
And so I believe what you're suggesting is if somebody uploads that image, wouldn't it be great to hook that index to that image, right?
Yeah, I would agree.
And we agree. So for the last, probably 4 months and a half or so, we've been working on new ideas and concepts for sources. And those new concepts include the ability to for a couple of things, and you can give me your feedback whether you like this or not. We're thinking that we sometimes there are sources that are duplicate sources, right? They're the exact same image, the exact same index, and you only want one source entry on your ancestor. So we're thinking about enhancing sources so that you can collapse those two together, and you have a source with two URLs because they're pointing to the same image. The reality it's two different images because it was microfilmed twice, but it's the same exact page.
So like
And
the same data, like so for
So-
the same example, you went and took a picture of a headstone of grandma's, and I went and took the same picture.
that's right.
So we both have the same picture, but they're uploaded to different sites. You want it to be so that I can collapse them into one, and I can click on it and say, oh, I want to go look at Ron's picture versus Tegan's.
Right, or you
picture.
collapse it together and say, this is the information on the headstone, and it just shows two
Here's
pictures.
the two pictures.
Here's two pictures of the headstone.
Okay.
So imagine, so now we want to do that for not only FamilySearch stuff, but stuff you upload. And we also want to start allowing you, as part of this, we talked earlier about being able to correct indexes or be able to index on the fly when you're looking at it. We want to take that work and put it inside of sources so that you could index your images on the fly right there in the source. And then we're thinking about, you have to let me know what this is a good idea, we're thinking about taking these sources that you create with the images and indexes and feeding them back around so they can be searched by record search. So people could search and they'd see your source with the images linked and the indexes. Now it's going to be open edit, so they're going to correct the indexes or, you know, maybe not make it better. I don't know. We think that we can do the same thing to sources that we've done to the tree and make it so that we get even better sources, better indexed, more fields indexed and stuff like that.
Sure.
So let me know what you think about that.
I'll ask you guys this
I
week
think
in
that will
regards,
solve
so-
the problem you're talking about and do exactly. But we've been thinking about that for several months. Matter of fact, at the last hour of my work, I sat down with a couple of people and we were going through the requirements for this new source upgrade. So,
All right.
okay,
Okay, sorry, I'm gonna steal this question really fast while I'm thinking about it.
okay.
We're getting asked questions on the fly, so I'm trying to like
Put them in
and
the
throw 'em in the
list so
bottom.
so if we get to them, we can do them.
Insert below. Get a drink. You're like getting dry. I can tell.
Yeah.
Okay. Our next question comes from Dawn. Wants to know, I'm seeing many genealogy bank sources added to my ancestors. One genealogy bank computer index has me married to my grandmother, and our daughter is a mashup of my mother and my sister. Another entry shows my grandmother as a male and married to my grandfather, who is a female. Is the computer adding these sources, or is somebody adding these sources without verifying the accuracy of the index information? I know about providing feedback, which helps the future computer indexing efforts, but this feedback does not correct existing information. What do you recommend we do with those entries so that the sources for our ancestors are correct?
All right. The genealogy bank stuff is our obituaries, or their obituaries.
Okay.
And those obituaries were indexed by a computer. Okay? And you can kind of know that when you look at the record. I think it'll have a little errors, question mark, button down near the bottom. And you can click that and it'll open up a little window where you can give feedback on the record.
Okay.
So for instance, you can say, it shows that my mother is
My grandmother and I are
married.
married.
Yeah, that we're married and that needs to be fixed.
Right.
And they'll go fix it. It'll come
Okay.
to a list, a team that runs it and fixes that stuff and helps improve the computer to get better. But there is we don't contribute stuff to the tree. Okay, no machine is going to attach records to anybody. No machine is going to add persons to the tree.
So
There's not a
just
machine that did this. So some other user,
attach those records to your
some other
grandmother.
users saw those records as hints. And then when the hinting system brought it up, it tried to align up people. And the person who was going to attach this didn't notice that
You were married to your grandma.
it didn't line up right, and so they didn't fix it, and they just went ahead and said attach. And so what you need to do is go in and clean yourself up, so you're not married to your grandmother or whatever, and make sure that the living people are marked dead, and then reply through that errors thing. Go click on the URL link. It'll send you over to where the record is, and then it'll have that little errors. And type in there what is messed up and screwy
What all happens
on the
so that they can
obituary.
make it better.
Just what's wrong with the index of the record.
Okay.
That's really the issue.
All right. Okay. I need to apologize about my child yelling
Yeah.
"Daddy" in the background. He's started to get into that phase where he repeats things on repeat until you answer. So I apologize. He's in the other room.
2 years old.
Yeah.
He's got lungs on him.
Okay, next question comes from Irene. Who wants to know, what do you think the best way to track which lines you've searched for green temples, etc.? Print a fan chart of the first 6 generations and mark them off as you check them, and then print another for the next 6 generations, etc.? I guess they want to know what's the best way to track which lines you've searched for the green temples.
Yeah. We want to improve that as well. I'm sure people, know about these third-party tools that will walk around and search for it.
Yeah.
And I think they have their place. But what I do is I go up to 4 generations or 5. I go up 5 generations, and I either take a screenshot of those. So I go up and I expand one line out 4 generations, so that I got my great grandparents, whatever, and they're all open there. And I'll either take a screenshot or I'll watch them so that they're on my watch list, so I remember who they are, or I'll make a bookmark for each one of them. And I go to that one, I go to each one of them one at a time, and I click it and make them the root of the tree, and then go do descendancy, right? And then I'm looking down the descendancy for hints or for data problems or for green temples. That's what I do. And now I have a record I have a list of my PIDs, and I just do that to all those 4, and then I go to the next line and go to that same distance and do those 4, and do the next line and do the same distance those 4. And then when I've done all those and cleaned them up and put sources and made it good, and if I need some more ordinances, then what I do is I have those end of line, those 4 or 5 generations out as bookmarks or on my watch list. So now I just click and go to that person as the root of the tree, and now I go out 4 again and do the same. I do exactly the same thing again, 4 or 5 out, and do the same. So that's what I do to keep track of it. I either do screenshots or bookmarks. I think bookmarks works well, or watch lists. Sometimes if you're watching a lot of things, it's hard to remember which one of them are the end of lines. So sometimes I'll just do a bookmark on each of them, and when I put in the bookmark, I'll put it in a folder that's like end of line search or cleanup search or green temple search kind of stuff.
Okay.
So that's what I do.
Okay. This is from your cousin David.
My cousin David.
So it says DM Newland.
Okay.
It just says, please keep us posted with FamilySearch developments. I'm a Stake Family History Center trainer, and I have got to keep up.
Yeah, I'll be glad anytime you want. If there's new things coming out, so I'll let you know.
So yeah, I guess. Yep, let's see.
It's good to be posted. Good to know, especially if you're a Family History Center director, or if you're a Family History Center consultant, or a Family History consultant, Temple and Family History consultant. I'm sorry, I need to use the new words.
Gosh, I wish you'd get with the program.
They're always doing stuff on the logged in homepage. Let's see, is there anything that's gone out recently? Trying to think if there's any big thing that's kind of gone out lately. Nah. But that's a good point. We'll have to do that. We'll have to have a little segment.
Maybe we do it right at the beginning when you say, these are the newest updates with FamilySearch.
That's right. These are the newest things that just got released or something like that.
So you guys
We
can
can do
kind of
that.
be aware of what's happening.
Okay, I'll try to remember that.
I'll remind it.
It will be significant features, as we're not going to tell you little diddly things.
Yeah, like
We
can
actually
tell you about,
release, 1,000 times a day, so,
No, I think you're thinking like,
New-
hey, when our
new
shared
feature.
family
That's right.
circles are coming out,
Yeah.
they're coming out in 2 weeks, get excited about
Yeah,
that.
right.
Like,
That's
that type of stuff. We'll let you guys know.
absolutely.
You'll be the first ones to know.
I'll be the first one to know.
Well, but then they'll know right after.
Yeah, okay.
Okay. JNB wants to know, I have never used the microfilm from FamilySearch and know that it will end soon. Is there full birth certificate, death certificate, and marriage records on them from New York City?
Well, I don't know specifically New York City, so maybe somebody out there knows. I haven't necessarily looked for those particular ones.
Mm-hmm.
But what you ought to do is go to your local family history center, or you can go out and look and see what's out there in the catalog. There's a catalog search. You can look and see if there's microfilm, and then you can go to your family history center and say, do you have this microfilm? And in there it says that. And yeah, sometimes there are indexes. Oftentimes they're images. And yeah, the microfilm ordering is going to end September 1st. There'll be no more microfilm ordering.
So you have approximately 28 days.
Yeah, so
to
I
get
would hurry.
your film
I would hurry,
orders.
and then have them place their order to bring that film over, and then I would just go order, go look at all the New York ones, and just run into Family History Center and say, I want all these New York ones,
They'll hold them.
and
for
they'll
you.
hold them for you, and so it'll be available for you even after. You just won't be able to order, but they'll tell them to keep it in the Family History Center, and they'll keep it for you as long as you want.
Until you're done using it,
Yeah.
or it becomes digitized and it's online.
Right. So our goal, our intent is that all of those will be available online as digital images that you can look at through the computer at a Family History Center computer. And we don't have all of them done, even though we're turning off the ordering.
Yeah. A good chunk of them are still left, but.
Yeah.
Okay, Stacy, to get live updates every day, I would literally have to pin him to the floor. It's pulling teeth to get him to do it.
Live
twice a month.
updates every day?
Yeah, she's like, I want daily live updates. I was like, that's not gonna happen.
Nah, that's not gonna happen.
It took everything I had to get him to do this twice a month.
No.
But if some big exciting thing is happening, I would be more than happy to write a post on Facebook for you guys to keep you in the circle. As far as lives, it takes a lot to get him to do this. I usually have to bribe him with Cafe Rio right before. Kathy wants to know how soon the temple name sharing is coming. We don't have a date for it yet, but we'll let you know as soon as we do. The family shared circles.
Oh, she's talking about family.
You talked about it.
Oh, I didn't talk about family stuff. I just talked about. I didn't talk about that stuff. I talked about
No. She's talking about the shared family
stuff,
living
but she's talking
space.
about temple things too, though.
Yeah, but there's not a date on it yet.
No, don't have a date.
It's still coming.
So
as
for
soon
those
as
that
we
are
know
LDS,
it's
with the
coming.
sharing of living, we also want to do
Shared temple.
we want to do a family reservation list
Yeah.
that comes with that, so that it may not be exactly the same time, but
Around the same
they're
time.
going to be connected. So you're gonna create a little family place. You can go create a family place. Everybody put their living into that family place, and then that family place will be a destination where you can send shared family reservations. So you can say, share my reservation for my private list to this family list. When you do, it'll show up on the family reservation list, and then the family members who can see that shared area can take those ordinances and put it on their list in order to do them.
Right.
And
So no official date
we have
yet,
no time
Kathy.
frame for that yet, but
We'll
we're
keep
working
you
on it.
in the loop. They've started working on building it, but the computer programming on the backside takes months.
Yeah,
to
it's
do.
a fairly significant change to what
Yeah.
we're doing now. So
Well, and then once it's been programmed, it goes through rigorous testing and beta testing, and it gets released to a small population to test it out. make
well,
sure
and
there's
this
no
is not
bugs.
something you this has got to be right because we're dealing with
It's going to
temple.
take a little bit. My guess would be next year or something.
Probably.
If I was going to guesstimate.
Probably.
So, Chris, can the microfilms still be viewed in downtown Salt Lake if you order them? Right?
Yeah,
Microfilms?
if Salt Lake has the microfilm, then yes.
They'll hold on to them while
Yeah,
they're being
I don't think
digitized.
I don't know for sure, but I think Salt Lake one never returns any microfilms. So, but you probably could give them a call and ask them if they have the ones you're interested in, and if not,
have
they
them
get them
order
order it,
Yeah.
and then and then just ask that they stay there permanently.
Yeah.
And it's really a question of shelf space, how much room they have that determines whether they send them back or not. So
Right. I'm sure
I don't
they're
know. I don't
prepping.
know personally. I don't know if the Salt Lake one has all microfilms. I would be surprised.
That would be a lot of microphones.
It would be a lot. So,
But I'm sure all the family history centers, since they know that it's all stopping in 28 days, are probably prepping for a little extra shelf space for all of those people.
Probably,
that want to order
probably.
them. So check if it's not their order.
yeah, don't wait.
You don't want to be the last person on the list. That'll take a little while. Okay, next question comes from Linda Chappell. She said, I sent it last week in our Facebook message, but when I was clicking on a source suggestion from View Details page, the source takes you to the last person's search for, which is not always the one that you've always clicked on. Can this be adjusted to work differently?
Read it again.
Okay, when I click on a source suggestion from the View Details page, the
Source suggestion.
the source.
Oh, from the person details page.
Okay,
So this is a hint.
Okay, the source, when she clicks on it, it takes you to the last person's search for, which is not always the one that you've just clicked on. So it's taking her to the last person she searched, not necessarily the person for the hint.
Really?
Is what I'm understanding. Can this be adjusted to be worked differently here? Let me blow it up. I know you're blind.
Where?
The one that's highlighted.
When clicking on, and who's this? Linda Chappell. If you're on, you can answer some questions for us. I sent last week on Facebook Messenger. Oh, that Facebook Messenger went to support. What did they tell you at support? I don't know. When clicking on a source suggestion. I don't even know what that is. I'm assuming that's a hint.
Maybe?
That's a hint. From the view details page, the sourcer
I'm guessing when she
takes you
on
to
it,
the last person searched for, which is not always the one you have just clicked on. See images I sent on Messenger.
So we don't get the messages?
Yeah, I'm not the one who gets those messengers. They go to support. Can this be adjusted to work differently? Okay, so Linda
Chappell.
Linda, if you send me an email, if they gave you a support case number, send me that so I can go look at it and see what it is and understand it better. This seems like something really weird here.
So unless you, let me see, go over and check your Facebook message box.
It's not mine. This is a family search. This is on the family search site.
Oh.
On the family search page.
Okay.
Facebook Messenger bot is on the Facebook page and allows them to communicate with support through a message bot.
Oh, got it. Okay, so send him an email, Ron at FamilySearch.org.
Yeah.
Let him know about that.
Right, you can email me that one too if you want.
Yeah,
and I'll go call support. I'll go to hold of support and say, can you look in this one?
Okay.
Give me a little more info.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Now, it goes to support. They'll respond to you and answer your questions. But I'm curious of what that is. It seems really weird.
Okay. This next question is from HQ.
Headquarters.
Still not sure how to transfer sources found on Ancestry to people on FamilySearch. Is there an easy way?
Transfer sources
that are found in Ancestry to people in FamilySearch.
Yeah.
Do we need to make a tutorial video on how to do that, maybe?
Well,
or is it messy?
There's a one way that you can do it that's easy that you're probably not doing is there's a way to make a connection if you're an LDS member and you have a free Ancestry account because you got it as being a LDS member and have a Family Search account. You get a free Ancestry account. If you use that free account over on Ancestry.com, you can bring your family family tree over to Ancestry into a tree.
Oh.
So you say, create new tree, and then you just say bring over my family tree, and it'll copy it all into Ancestry, right?
Okay.
If you've done that, then Ancestry knows which person in Ancestry's private tree is the same person in the Family Search tree. In your line.
So it helps you identify the match.
Right. It's already done it because it brings them over.
Okay.
And if you've done that, then when you click the little Family Search icon, when you're looking at a person in Ancestry.com, you can push that little icon, and in there as a synchronize button. You click that, and it'll show you your Ancestry person, and it'll show you the Family Search person that are the same. And on there it shows, the conclusions, the name, the date, and stuff on both sides. It also shows the sources on both sides.
Okay.
And so in that, you can choose to copy either way. You can say send those over here or send those over here.
Send those sources to Family Search.
Right. But when you do that, it doesn't send the images or anything from Ancestry. It just sends and creates a source on the Family Search side, and it has a URL in there that links back to Ancestry for that source, for that record.
Makes sense.
And that's the only way you could do it easily. Otherwise, what you have to do, if you haven't done that and you're not synchronizing the two trees, then your only way is to download the source or write down the information or copy and paste it and create a new source over on the Family Search side. We know that it's not the best. I will say there's some affiliates now that are starting to be able to interact with the Ancestry tree. One of them I think just recently released was Roots Magic. who has the rights to Ancestry's Family Tree Maker API set that allows us to talk to Ancestry.
Okay.
I think they just released something that's going to start doing that. So you might want to visit, you might want to check out Roots Magic website to find out more about it. I remember seeing their announcement. And I think what they're trying to do is they're going to say you'll be able to take your Roots Magic tree and synchronize it with Ancestry. And Roots Magic can already take the Roots Magic tree and synchronize it with Family Tree.
Right, they're already in it.
So I think they'll bring sources down to Roots Magic, and then you turn around and send them back up to Family Tree.
Okay.
So you might want to check that out. I'm not aware of any other partner that is doing that right now. So check that out.
Okay, so do you want to do one more question?
Now, what time are we at?
We're at 8:26.
Oh, we're already at 8:20. Yes.
And then maybe tell people, like our new people, a little bit about you, what you do at FamilySearch.
Oh, yeah,
so
okay.
they can kind of understand who you are.
Okay.
So let's do one last question. Those of you, like I told you before, if we don't get your question, please do not panic. I keep all of them, and we'll start right where we left last time and move forward from there. So we won't lose your question. It will get answered, I promise. So the last question for tonight comes from Kathy Anderegg. She wants to know, as gatherers or consultants, we are being urged to move from the technical to the spiritual. How can we do that and still keep the integrity of the technicality of Family Tree?
Kathy, I know Kathy. Known her for a while, several years. I think the important things is, so I believe what she's asking. I'll restate it.
Okay.
Is in the new Temple and Family History guidance, the Brethren have asked us to use a model called Find, Tick, Teach.
Yes.
And that model is rooted in trying to help the person who you're helping do family history have a positive experience, and even a spiritual experience. So an experience where they can feel the spirit, and that manifests itself different ways, right? In different people.
Right.
Some people it just feels good. Some cry. Some just are happy. But it's always going to be a positive feeling, always. So we find, but at the same time, and especially in Kathy's case, because she knows genealogy and she wants to be careful with genealogy, as we all should, there are times when the person you're helping doesn't know very much genealogy and may not do a very good job at being a genealogist. But if they're interested enough to want to try, then our job as Temple and Family History Consultant is to help them be successful. So I think the key is to find, when you first let them have an experience, we want them to have a positive experience, such as finding a name for the temple. And you're helping them find a name, so you're going to make sure that it's genealogically sound.
Right.
But you're not going to spend a lot of time talking about why it's genealogical sound or anything, because they're just learning. They're just learning to log in and what a tree is. And so you get too far beyond that, and their brain is falling out of their ears, right? And you don't want that. You want them to have a positive experience. So you kind of do things like, oh, why don't you, let's go up to your second grandfather or on your mom's side. Why? I don't know. I was kind of looking around your tree, and that looks like a good place to go. And you kind of lead them and guide them to the spot you want them to be at. Okay? And when you get there, there may be something it's good to have something they need to do. It doesn't have to be that way, but maybe something they need to do for the ordinance to work. Like, for instance, maybe it has a data problem, and if you just fix that data problem, it's all of a sudden ready to take the temple. Okay. Or maybe it's just a straight green arrow. That's fine. Or you found a census that if they add the census, it adds children to that tree that need temple ordinances. All of those are beautiful things you want to try to find if you can as a temple family history consultant. Now, what you're going to do is while you're walking them through this, and you get to that person, you're going to say, oh, look, it's got a data problem. Why don't we fix the data problem? Now, this data problem says that the birth happened after they died. Well, that's kind of crazy. But let's go look. I noticed there's a source on there that somebody put on, and let's go look at that and see there it's their birth certificate says this date. Why don't we just fix that date? So they go fix the date, and then the data problem goes away, and all of a sudden a little green temple shows up. Oh, hey, it just qualified. We qualified because it's good data, and it looks right, and so let's reserve the person and print out your card, and you just had a wonderful experience. And oh, by the way, let's schedule a time to meet. You know, we're going to start with a prayer. That's the thing. Start with a prayer. Invite the Spirit. Be kind and gentle and go at the pace they need to go. Help them to have that spiritual experience, and they will be so happy. And then when they feel that goodness, they're going to want to do it again. And we'll say, hey, let's meet again in 2 weeks. Let's go to the temple together if we want. Or can you get to the temple? Okay, you get to the temple. And when can you go? Oh, you're going to go in 2 weeks? Okay, in week 3, let's get together again. Because I think there's another spot over here where we can, where we hook a census and we'll be able to maybe find some people. Now, when you do that one and you go to it, you say, oh, there's a census here. Let me tell you what a census is. A census is just, the government checking to see how many citizens they have. And a census has the mother and the father and all the kids. That's what a census is. Let's not get too deep about it. We're just teaching them what a record is. Mm-hmm. This is a record, and it's called a source. We call it a source. And this is a census of that kind. So let's take a look at the census. Oh, look at there. There's the mom and the dad, and there's all the kids. Well, let's click and say, this looks like the family, so let's click to attach it. And you bring up the source linker, and you see and line it up. Oh, look at there. There's 2 new kids. See, but you kind of knew there was going to be 2 new kids there. That's why you sent them there. Mm-hmm. And so now they say, oh, I know what a census is. I know what a record is. And I know what I do when I find new people. Right?
Gets them excited about it.
So then they go, oh, okay. And so now they're starting to understand a little more, and each of them have been a positive experience. Mm-hmm. And pretty soon they'll start exploring on their own. And then they'll run into problems, right? And then they'll call you, I ran into this, what do? Oh, let's get together next Tuesday and we'll go through that. And you just work them through, teaching them as you go, just like you're teaching, we teach primary children different than we teach young men and women. We teach young women differently than we teach us old fogies, right? And the elders quorum teaches differently than the high priest quorum because of the experience of the people in the audience. Mm-hmm. So just be aware of and sensitive to the knowledge of your person, and try to increase it just a little bit each time, and pretty soon they'll get it. And some will be fast, and some will take a little longer, but they'll all get it, and they'll do pretty good. And once in a while they'll mess up, and they'll probably recognize it and go, I think I messed up. Don't worry about it. Everything can be fixed in Family Tree. Yeah. Anything can be undone. Anything can be fixed. Don't worry about it. Let's meet and sit down, and I'll show you how to fix it. And that's how you do it. Just be gentle, kind, loving. And if you are, and you provide them those positive experiences, they're going to feel the Spirit every time. And every time they feel the Spirit, maybe different ways, because different people react differently. Mm-hmm. Some see a picture, and it's like, oh, it just touches them right here. Some people see a letter with their handwriting on it, and that means something to them. Some see a census and it means something. Just the name of their ancestor in a record is enough for them to feel something. Connection. If you get them to feel a connection to that person, then they will feel the Spirit. Because if they're working for a relative, the Lord will touch them and tell them this is the good thing to do. And think of all different ways. Ask Heavenly Father to help you as a consultant to figure out how to touch that family or touch that person so that they feel the Spirit. What do I want? What should I do to give them an experience that they feel the Spirit? And if you pay attention to the Spirit, it will tell you what to do. Let me give you one little short experience. I know I'm going over, but hey, you're going to stay anyway. If not, you're going to go away and watch it later.
Okay, give them experience.
So there was a family history consultant, Temple Family History Consultant, that was asked by the bishop to come over and teach his family indexing. They wanted to learn indexing. He says, okay. But we know that if it's a personal experience, meaning something about their relatives, it means more to them. So this family history consultant prayed about it and said, help me find something that I can do in indexing, and went off and started looking through the collections. First, he went and looked at the bishop's tree. And he looked at the bishop's tree and noticed that his great-grandmother was from a place in England. I can't remember where it was. I think it's Devonshire or something like that in England. And he just felt, let me know where to go. And so he kind of wandered around. And this great-grandmother kind of stood out. So he kind of wrote down information about that great-grandmother. And then he went over to the indexing and happened to find a collection from her hometown where she was born in the year that she was born. and found a collection that needed to be indexed. And so he said, we're going to do that index. Then when he went to the bishop's home, they had dinner together. They were invited over. They had dinner, and then and interestingly enough, the bishop invited a non-member family to his home for the indexing. So they're a little thrown off. Oh, this is a non-member family. Oops, but we're going to continue going.
Yep.
Okay. So they turned the time over to the consultants, and it was a couple, man and a wife, and they turned around to the bishop and this non-member family, and they said, as you know, our Heavenly Father wants us to find our ancestors and find His family and provide saving ordinances. Your great-great-grandmother was born in this town in England, Devonshire or whatever, in England. And when we went out and looked, we found a record collection in the same place, Devonshire, England, for the same years that she was born, the time that she was alive, through those span of years. She probably knows these people because she lived there with them.
Right.
These are her friends, right?
Neighbors.
She wants them to have those blessings of Heavenly Father. So she wants to help us, and the Lord wants to help us. So we're going to sit and we're going to learn how to do extraction or indexing on this collection, this batch. And we're going to index it or index it like a family. We're going to huddle around it, put it on their big screen TV, and they're all going to be looking at it and say, "Oh, that's obviously George, George." So they're doing that, and they told him, now Heavenly Father wants us to be successful. So remember, if you're stuck and can't figure out what it's saying, we'll say a little prayer and see what happens. And they started indexing. And they ran across a name that they couldn't read the first letters. They couldn't figure out the wording. And they struggled on it. And is it a W? And they'd go look at the other words that were W's. Is it this other? And they couldn't. The writing wasn't working. So they kind of struggled with it for a little while. And the non-member, there's a non-member kid. He was just a boy, probably 10. He pipes up and says, "Didn't you say that we could say a prayer and we get help?" And they said, "Yes." "I'll say the prayer," this non-member kid. And he says a little prayer. They all bow their heads and he says a little prayer, how he says his prayers. And then he finished the prayer and he says, "I think it's a W or whatever." And the rest of the family look at each other and they look at it and says, "I think that's right. That feels right to me. Okay, we're going to put a W." And they went on and finished the batch. That was a spiritual experience. Why was it spiritual? Because it was about his great-great-grandmother. It was about the same area, and they had an answer to prayer. And when you have that kind of experience happening during your time as a consultant, there's nothing, they have to feel the Spirit because it's there. And you need to point that out. Sometimes you need to point that out because sometimes people don't understand when they feel that. You say, you know, what you're feeling is you're feeling God telling you that what you're doing is right. It's a good thing. And that's what you're feeling. And you'll feel it more and more the more you do it. Now, I hope that works for you to understand how you can do that. Just approach it like that. Approach it with love and kindness and trust in Heavenly Father and pray plenty before you go and before you prepare. And He'll lead you to the spots you need to be to help those families. And it can be anything. It doesn't have to be. There was a lady that asked me a couple of Sundays ago, and I feel bad. I haven't scheduled an appointment yet. I saw her on Sunday, but I couldn't get a hold of her. She wants me to come over and teach her how to scan and crop her images. And I said, well, can you find names? She said, oh, I got lots of names all over the place. I said, okay, so I'm going to come over and do that. I haven't done it yet, so I'm smacking myself for not doing that.
Wow, you're telling other people. So embarrassing. All right, let's end
So
on
thank you very much for listening to me.
Rant.
Ranting and raving and blabbing along. I hope this is useful to you.
Hold on.
Oh, go ahead.
They would like to know a little bit about you.
Oh,
There's new
yeah.
people here.
Well, let me just tell you a little bit about myself.
Get a drink.
Let me get a drink.
I can fill them kind of in. So, we have a family of 6. He's been married to my sweet mother. Her name is Cherie for 37 years.
Yeah.
They just celebrated their anniversary this last month. We have 2 boys and 2 girls. I am the oldest. The other kid, if you watch some of our YouTube videos, the boy that sits down with him is my youngest brother. So we keep it all in the family.
Yeah. 3 of my kids are married, and
the youngest
is not married yet. He's home from his mission,
Yeah.
looking for that girl.
You have 4 grandchildren and 2 on the way.
Yeah, all boys and the ones that are here. A boy
Yeah.
and a girl coming on the ones that are coming.
Yeah, we have 1 in October and 1 in December that
Yeah.
are on their way.
Yeah.
You've been working at FamilySearch now for...
Well, let me tell you my background a little bit.
Okay.
I graduated from BYU with a master's in computer science.
Yep.
So I'm a classically trained computer science guy.
He's a
I'm
nerd.
not your normal nerd though, because I'm a pretty outgoing guy.
You're a nerd.
And you know, nerds are not always that way. I worked for Bell Laboratories for about 9 years.
Yep.
After that, I had a friend talk me into going and work for Novell down here in Provo. So we pulled up roots. I don't know why I was asked to come, but I felt like I needed to come. So we pulled up roots in Denver. Moved in Denver. Moved to Provo, and I worked for Novell. Worked for Novell, and you know, for about 13 years, and then got a phone call from the church saying, "Hey,
we're hiring."
Yeah, at the time I had kind of moved careers. I was a developer, and I did that at Bell Labs. But I did lots of things. I mean, I created new projects when I was at Bell Labs. I did coding standards. I did processes. I did all that stuff. And at Novell, I did all that stuff. And I became a manager and a director of engineering. I had about 300 engineers in India and California and here, and built products for Novell. And went to other companies and came back. And during that process, I moved over from engineering, developing code, to product management. And what a product manager does, my role is figure out the future of a product, what it needs to do, how it needs to work, where it needs the vision,
really big picture.
the 5-year vision for the product. Where does it need to be in 5 years, and how we're going to get there.
Yep. So
my job is to dream up new features and work with my team to figure out how to do that and do that. So I got a phone call from the church saying, "Hey, would you be interested in?" He says, "Do you know anybody?" This is when he said, Brad is his name. He called me. He says, "Ron," somebody who knew me. You know anybody who'd be interested in coming to work for the church?" And at that time, I was kind of not real super happy, and I said, "Well, I don't know, maybe me." And he goes, "Really? Can we really get you?" And I said, "Well, first, you got to understand, Brad, I'm a crazy person, okay? I'm
true.
You know, I'm not sit quietly in the corner. I'm a, you know."
You're a loud, outspoken person,
and
you speak your mind.
Well, yeah, it doesn't mean I'm mean and ornery, but I'm going, and you know, I have ideas. And he says, "Well, I think the church needs you." And I says, "Okay." So just a little tidbit: when I quit and went to work for the church, the day I started, that boss who hired me announced he's quitting. So I killed my boss the first day. So,
Didn't even make it a day.
Yeah. So I've been at Novell for the church for FamilySearch for 10 years. After about a year working at FamilySearch, I was put in charge of new FamilySearch, for those who know that old program, the older program.
It just died off.
We just killed it last year. So I did new FamilySearch. New FamilySearch released the week I started. I started on Wednesday and it released on Friday. New FamilySearch did. Yeah. And then about little less than a year, 9 months to 12 months, they put me in charge of New FamilySearch. My job was to approve and give direction for New FamilySearch, add features, all that kind of stuff, and be responsible for it. And I did that for the rest of the life of New FamilySearch. And as I did that, I recognized that it had problems. And so started working with a couple other guys to try to figure out something different, and locked ourselves in the room You know, three days a week for 8 hours every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And we dreamed up the concepts of Family Tree.
Family Tree was born.
And it just seemed like the right thing to do. I could think of and I remember when it was getting ready to launch, and I was scared, and I'm responsible for this thing. You know, I talked them into doing this, and I said, I remember asking my associates, now tell me again, this is a good thing, because it's about the ship, and it's very different from anybody's used to. And and they said, no, it's the right thing to do, because I could think of no other way to have the system that could go fast enough and work right for you. The data in Family Tree is your data. It's the family's responsibility to make sure the data's right and that it's in there. That it's not me or the church or FamilySearch's responsibility.
Right.
And in New FamilySearch, you didn't have that control. It was FamilySearch that sort of owned it.
Right.
And I felt very strongly that you needed to own it. You know your ancestors better than anybody, and so you should have the right to put in the data and to make it right. So that just hit me so strongly that I knew that I had to do this way.
Yep. And
so we did it. And thank you very much for coming. Thank you for especially those early adopters. I mean, it's been out now since 4th year, I guess.
Yep.
And those early adopters just lived with, you know,
bugs.
Well, yeah, we didn't have tons of bugs, but we were very careful. But you grew up with the rough times. We didn't have all the features there, and we didn't have hinting. We didn't have you couldn't restore everything from the change log at the time. It was only part of a partial change log. It just went through the early things. But I'm glad you hang around. I'm glad you still come. I'm glad you work on it.
Yeah.
And I thank you because it's becoming great. And I know that there's parts that aren't great, and I know there's parts that need lots of work. But let me tell you, the tree is growing, and it's growing well. Duplicate things are going down. Sources are all over the place. I mean, you add about 2.5 million new people every month, and we're averaging now about just under 10 million sources a month adding to the site, and that's phenomenal, and that's amazing. And people are you're finding your cousins and relatives that you didn't know, and I know that there's frustration sometimes when people changes things, but you have to realize those people are just trying to do the right thing too. And the amount of that in the overall tree is relatively small.
Yep.
Compared to it. We're up to 1. We're about 1.15 billion persons in the tree. The largest single tree that's all connected together is well over 384 million people in one tree. And that's just amazing. And
by the way, I guess we should mention the 3.84 million or billion person tree usually includes all of you, right?
Oh yeah. The 1.214 billion includes living.
No. I was saying like the world's largest strand or the largest strand in the tree.
Oh, the 384 million.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's mostly United States and
like how we're all
Canada and Europe all connected. So, it's very interesting. You look at it. It's like you get a couple that immigrate into the United States, and then their kids marry, a Native American or marry somebody that lives in America.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, boom, you're part of this 384 million.
Right.
Because all you need is one connection,
Yep.
one parent or one spouse, and all of a sudden you're part of the 384 million.
You have a full claim to fame. You're all part of that 3.84
So that's me. That's what I do. I have 9 product managers that work for me to help me in all of this. I'm about to hire another one, so I'm going to have 10. And my responsibilities for the FamilySearch area, I'm responsible for Family Tree, everything Family Tree.
How about we just say everything except indexing?
And the homepage.
And the homepage.
So Family Tree, memories, search, hinting, all of the search stuff under search, all the hinting, all of the memories, all the family tree,
The app,
temple ordinances, the mobile apps,
the light version.
light, family tree light, and all the software in the temple. That's what I have.
That's all his
So that's
babies.
my little slice
That's your little
that I'm responsible
his
for.
slice.
So, but I'll answer questions from anywhere. If I don't know the answer to the question,
We'll go find
I'll
it
take
for you.
it. I'll take it back and ask the people that are in charge of it and get that answer. And the reason I do this, by the way, is I want you to understand how to use the system, and I want you to be happy with it. As always, I invite you to send me an email anytime you want. Ron@FamilySearch.org. I answer all emails. I get a lot of emails, so sometimes it takes me a little while to answer. So don't get upset. Don't get upset if it takes a couple weeks to get an answer. But I'll answer them all. You may not like the answer. I'm not guaranteeing you're gonna like the answer, but I'll answer them all because it's important that you get the help you need so that you can feel like you can be successful. And I want you to tell you, despite your frustrations, you can be successful in Family Tree. And there's been lots of people that have had really wonderful experience and successful experiences.
Yep.
But we always can do better, and we can always there's always spots. So
Okay, so really fast, a few people. Chris Hansen wants to work with you.
uh,
You can apply.
yeah.
I don't know if have you started interviewing yet?
Oh yeah, I'm down to 2 candidates.
Oh, you better hurry and get it
Yeah,
in.
it's
You
too
better
late.
hurry and get it in.
I'm not interviewing anybody else.
Deborah Chase
You'd
wants...
have to speak Chinese, by the way,
Oh,
to
crap.
apply for
Do
that
you
one.
speak Chinese?
Yeah, I had this job's for Chinese stuff.
They're working with the Asia team. Deborah wants to know, can we have a video of you at work? I can try to go and film him at work. This is all it's going to be. I'll show it. I can tell you what it is. I'm just going to be walking around in circles like this.
Oh yeah.
Because that's all he does all day. But if you guys would like that one time,
I don't know. I'll have to see if we can do that.
I can show up and we can go talk to like some of the UX designers. We could maybe go see a couple of the engineers. We could talk to the marketing people and have them all jump in and kind of say hi and introduce themselves, so you kind of see the team behind Family Tree. We'll have to see if we can do that.
What's that one?
Sorry, I wish. Chris doesn't speak Chinese.
Oh, I see.
Sorry. You're probably out then.
Yeah.
I don't know if you want to work for...
Yeah. Well, but by the way, I have great engineers, and we've part of my responsibility is not only to figure out all of the features and improve them and direction and vision, but I'm also responsible for all the deliveries.
True.
And so I work closely with engineers for us to figure out schedules and delivery dates, and they are a great set of engineers, and we're doing amazing. I mean, we're delivering. We're working hard.
Yep, we do work hard.
And I'm really pleased with the stuff that comes out.
Yep.
I did chew them out about a couple of things, but a few too many bugs. But.
So, we went way over our time
Yeah,
tonight,
sorry about
but
that. Sorry for those who only want an hour.
yes, thanks for sticking with us. We won't have to introduce him next time because now you kind of know us.
Yeah.
Yeah, have a good week. Our next one is going
Oh,
to
by
be...
the way, just so you know, people say every day, this is not my job, right?
No, yeah.
Doing a Facebook Live is not my job. Going around and presenting at conferences. I think this year I'm doing like 14 or 15 conferences this year. That's not my job, but I do it because I want to answer questions. I want to help people be successful. That's why I'm doing this. That's why I'm doing... I do the conferences and stuff.
That's why I make him do...
That's why she
Facebook
makes me
Lives.
do social media stuff. This is my daughter. She's a social media guru, and she actually makes her living doing social media.
I do.
And she's very successful at it, and I appreciate her willingness to share her skills for free. She doesn't charge her dad. Once in a while I'll buy her dinner, but she remembers all those... she still has to pay back for those years of growing up that she has to pay back. But
That's true.
anyway, I appreciate her help on this stuff.
Okay, so our next one is going to be August 17th. So not this next week, but the following week, Thursday at 7:30 here. Same place,
same
just come
time.
to the page.
Yeah.
If you're curious about his upcoming speaking events, I have the next 3 in the events in the page, so you can go and check them out and see if they're near you and you want to come by and stop by. He would love to see you and talk to you for a minute. But other than that, have a great night, a great rest of your week. Happy August.
Yeah,
We're
that's right.
officially
It
in
is,
August.
yeah. Wow, year went away fast.
Like, poof.
boom.
We're like almost a fall here.
That happens when you're old.
I've noticed.
You know,
that.
when you're young, I decided that life is like climbing a mountain,
Okay.
climbing a hill.
Mm-hmm.
When you're young, you're going up the hill, and you keep going, man, I want to get to the top.
Yeah.
I want to turn 12. I want to turn 16.
16
I
and
want to
drive,
drive. I want to turn 21.
Rent
I
a
want,
car.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's all about wanting to get college. I want to get married, right?
Yeah.
Then you get over to the top of the hill, and you start, having the kids and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Now, all of a sudden, you're no longer going up. Now you're starting to go down. And so now when you come down, you're stumbling and things are going faster. And you're
I
going,
feel like I'm rolling.
what happened to that year? That went away. Kids are growing up, and then you get like my age, and you're like halfway down that mountain, and you can see the bottom, and you can see where you were, and you're in the middle, and you're going,
Can we go back?
Yeah, to slow this down, man. That's coming way too fast. And so that's kind of what we're doing. That's what it's like. It's just a hill. You're
Put on the
climbing.
brakes. Put on the brakes.
That's right. So I'm in the put on the brake stage.
I'm not quite there
You're
yet.
still.
I
up-
just crested.
You're just cresting the hill.
I have
right?
a toddler who is making things go really fast.
Yeah. So right.
So,
But he's growing up fast.
he is. He's 2.5 and a handful and a half.
Yeah. Anyway, thank you very much. Let us know if you like this, and welcome to the new ones that have come.
Yeah.
I hope this is beneficial for you. Sorry we didn't get all the questions, but like we said, just keep coming back, and
Yep.
we'll get to them eventually.
Yep.
And because we want to answer everybody's questions and help.
We do.
You need to understand how this works and how FamilySearch treat so you can be successful. That's our only hope.
Yep. And if you want to go back and see past videos, you can look on our Facebook page, the FamilySearch page, or you can visit us on YouTube. The channel is Family History You're On. I have all of them uploaded. This one will be up there tomorrow, so you can watch all of those ones there. So
Thank you. Have a
have
good
a good
night.
night, guys. We'll see you
Bye-bye.
next time.